Hello, everyone, and welcome to May the 26th regular Town Council meeting for the town of Vegreville. I call this meeting to order at 7:03. I would like a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions? Councillor Bullock.
I'd just like to make an amendment and suggest we move 9.1 up and discuss it first.
We can certainly do that. Is everybody in favor of the amendment to the agenda? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to vote on the amendment to the agenda. All those in favor? Carried. And I will now take a vote on the agenda itself. All those in favor? As amended, thank you. Next up, I would need a motion to adopt the minutes of our last regular meeting. Councillor Berry makes that motion. Any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. So through to the amendment, we are going to go down to 9.1, the reading of bylaw 05-2025. Okay, so I will take a motion for the second reading of this bylaw. Councillor Rudick makes the motion. Now we can open for discussion. Who would like to start? Go ahead, Councillor Rawawa.
Thank you, Your Worship. So first off, this is the part where I actually like, which is where we're actually able to try and answer you back. I want to thank everybody who spoke previously at the hearing and some who felt that maybe they didn't speak, aren't used to public speaking, but did very well. So thank you for bringing your concerns to us. I just want you to know on some of the things, it is a very difficult process because of the fact of exactly what was brought up by one of our last speakers, which is that when we're looking at a change, sometimes we will have to change zoning to be able to make that next step, and then sometimes the next step doesn't even happen. And they still have to come to us with all of the, it would be concepts and drawings and things still need to be approved. So I think I just made a bunch of notes, and I want everyone to know that regardless of if we make a decision sometimes to go ahead and rezone, everything that was said is not lost. Those things are what we share back in concerns when it comes to approvals on permits as well. And so, I mean, we made notes to a number of the different things. I'm hoping that we're able to answer a few of the concerns and sometimes to correct a little bit of information. But no matter what, one of the key things is that I wouldn't be looking at something that we would be changing lot size at all. So that was a big key. And again, a lot of times it's really important. People are bringing stuff to us that they would consider to be very important, like when you're dealing with a sensitive topic like veterans and park and respect. And I think that that is really important to hear, and I appreciate it, but we also want you to just always realize that a lot of times when they've been brought, we have taken some pre-steps and we'll continue to do what we can on there. So I just want to thank everybody who came in and let them know that I have made notes of everything that was heard, and that will be taken into part of the future decision for me.
Okay, thank you very much. And Councillor Rudick.
Thank you. On the heels of Councillor Warwa, maybe I'll expand a little bit of what I said earlier. It's a process that's a little confusing, both as participants in a public hearing as well as for the public. This might be your first opportunity to come and speak, and for us essentially to say nothing and to listen. That's what the point of a public hearing is. And it does seem a little bit futile in some senses because we might be listening and making a decision about the rezoning of a property that a developer may change their mind on, and a purchase may not occur even. One thing that I just want to ask before I say a couple things is it might be important for us to understand collectively for those of us that have been around for a while, you'll remember that was a swimming pool before. There was a high school there previously where the cenotaph was the old high school. But how did this particular piece of property come to be zoned institutional? And maybe Director Lefebvre can clarify that.
Yes, I can. It was in 2005 is when the Legion Act, it's on. Closer? Sorry, guys. Yeah, in 2005 is actually when the Legion and the town formally agreed that that section of lot plots and plans, as in the RCD, would be the Legion's, and that still will remain the Legion's. As we roll into 2011, that's when the daycare started to interest in that, and that's where that section of land in the center was institutional for the hopes of a daycare, which did not come through. So that designation changed then to institutional, sat since 2011 and hasn't proceeded. And now here we are now with a request to go to an R3 for another potential future development opportunity.
Thank you for clarifying that. And I wasn't on council in 2005, but I was on council in 2011, and rezoning that property, I don't remember as being particularly contentious, but there were people that were upset at that time that felt that would be changing the neighborhood and increasing the number of folks that would be driving down that street. That's my street too. I live on 49th Street. I see neighbors past and present in this room. So I understand how important it is to be able to feel like things aren't going to change, but things are changing. So it's important for us as council to be able to think about those people that are here, but also we're charged with making a decision of what this community will look like 30 years from now, which is kind of hard to imagine that we are for the first time over 6,000 people in this community, but we don't have places for people to buy or to live currently. Whether you're renting or purchasing, it's equally difficult whether you're looking for a duplex or a big house or an apartment. All of those are very, very tight margins for those that are entering the housing market as first-time buyers, or if you're relocating to the community, it's tough. And so as a council, we've made some tough decisions over the last little while. Tough in terms of the public's perception, but also important so that we have places for people to live, to be able to work at some of the locations that are coming to town. There's a couple of things that were I made note of in your various presentations that I think are important. Crossroads Regional Economic Development did a study with the area, and some of the things that popped up, similar to what you'd referenced earlier about surveys asking what's important to residents and to business owners, is a lack of housing, a labor shortage, communications, healthcare, childcare, and infrastructure. So those are all kind of related to the core work of a council. But just to be clear, the money that has been spent on that park, none of the paving has been paid for by the town. So that's not public money, that's not tax dollars that have been used
We did donate $9,000 towards it.
to the paving of the parking lot.
Well,
Or
to help the Legion with the building the park, we donated about $9,000.
Okay, so I stand corrected. So there was some of the money that was used for paving, but we've also committed as a council with the Legion executive to ensure that the amount of work and effort that's been put into putting that green space to be such a beautiful location that's right adjacent to the long-term care can continue, regardless of what happens as a development right next door. And I think it's also important to know that this council has deemed it very important that one of the top issues that we agreed as a council was people. And the reason that we're trying to make those decisions and include green spaces, respect those that have dedicated tons of volunteer hours, is to make sure that people are able to have a good life in our community. So that includes having recreational opportunities, whether it's a Sunshine Club or somebody that's just using that walking trail. There are a lot of people that use that area of the community. At the same time, we need to balance finding places for people to live. And it's not our job to find places for them to live, but we need to support developers to be able to do that. So we're in a kind of a tricky situation here, and I hope some of you feel a little bit more reassured or maybe more confused, but at least you know that there is a process that we have to follow, and we're certainly not trying to do it in a way that undermines your beliefs as homeowners there too.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Councillor Bullock.
Hi, thanks everyone for coming tonight and voicing your concerns. I just I support what my colleagues say, but I also want to address maybe some of the safety concerns that you had with the increase in traffic in the area and youth walking. As a council and as infrastructure and public, we could do things with crosswalks, marking crosswalks, putting up a warning sign. Even if someone had brought to us a proposed speed zone change, we can address things like those. So for those types of concerns, you know, in the letter, one of the letter was just asking what type of people would be living in our community, what type of people would it attract? Well, we're hoping to attract families, people with jobs, you know, at the cost of building stuff, let's say a duplex, for instance, you know, a half duplex is probably 300,000. I don't know how many of us had paid 300,000 for our first home, for a starter home. Many of us had not, a lot less. So it's changed quite a bit. So there is responsible adults out there looking for homes in these areas. It could be seniors wanting to move to that area as well, that want to downsize and move into a duplex. We think about those things as well. You know, having more development in an area could lessen crime in the area because they're seeing it's more populated, it's newer. You know, things like that. We take those into our thoughts and think about that. So that's what I wanted to add to this. It's a positive thing. I know there's two sides to every story, and we do listen. So, and we want what's best for the community. None of us ran here thinking that we're gonna do something bad for the community, even though a lot of times some people think we do bad things to the community, but that's not our intent. So we do this because we've all been volunteers at one time ourselves, and we still volunteer in the community, and you know, we do what's best for what we can all the time. So hopefully that helps you just understand what we're trying to do. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody coming out today and hearing what you have to say. I especially, Shirley, for you, like that you amended and got some more information on your own, and we're taking this very seriously, and I appreciate that, because the more we know coming into this, the better the questions are, and the better outcome that we can have. I mean, we've already said we're definitely on board with helping the Legion to fix up the original part of their park, anything that's kind of spilled over to make that work. But as some of my other colleagues mentioned, just the town's over 6,000 people now. You know, we've heard from both school boards the potential of closing schools and consolidating if there's not more enrollment. We've seen other towns lose their minor hockey and soccer clubs due to not enough enrollment. So our hope is that we can get families, young families into town that are going to use that splash park that's just down the road, and keep enrollment up and have a good answer to the school boards to say, no, you're going to need to renovate 2 schools here, or you're going to need to make a bigger school, because we got enough people coming that the town's going to stay alive and it's not going to die. So appreciate everybody coming.
Okay, Councillor Lemko.
Yeah, thanks for coming and voicing your concerns and raising your thoughts with us in council. And I apologize for voicing my concern, or it was heartfelt. It came from how I actually feel about veterans. But to answer Jason's question regarding the walking trails and the parks and open spaces, you can ask any member of this council where my position is on walking trails, parks, and open spaces. The during COVID, the government, because of the lockups and all that, we were granted $800,000 from the government for whatever we wanted to use it for: infrastructure, sidewalks, fixing underground facilities and all that. Council chose to invest in playgrounds, parks, and open spaces. So the trail from the egg that walks down by past the hospital, around to St. Martin's School, up north, around Man-Made Lake, for those people who frequent that area. That was contentious for the homeowners there, and now it's a well-used walking trail. Residents from outside of the communities who stop here can borrow a bike at the Egg Park and ride that trail. And you can see their comments, how beautiful it is. We did some investments in the Egg Park with the accessibility for those people who wheelchair accessible playground. We invested $150,000 in that park for that. We invested in Foxview Playground addition. That money was put to the citizens to support that open spaces, parks, and recreation. This council feels as passionate about the kids in this community as they do about the seniors. And we try and accommodate everybody. And the Sunshine Club, I frequent it. I'm always there in some capacity or not. My wife plays there. And I understand parking is an issue. I really do. Foxview, the expansion there with the potential duplexes and what's going in there, it was a contentious place. We didn't have enough chairs to house the people that came to this. And if anyone else was here during that public hearing, they heard the concerns of all those people. Now, I have a concern. It's right next to my house. That duplex will be 30 feet from my dining room window, 30 feet. Impacts me and Anita more than it does anyone else in this community. Yet, I won't be there forever. Some other children will be able to enjoy the playground that we put up there in that park, duplexes that'll go in for the young families. So, it's tough sometimes to make a decision sitting here as a counselor, but it's for the greater good of the community and the future of our community. And this council works hard, very hard for that. And not everybody's going to be happy. And I get it. I understand why you're here. There's a concern on how it'll impact you or the seniors that frequent the place. And I honestly get it. But in the order of progress, we need to accept change and go with that. It'll adapt. Museum was a challenge. Nobody talks about the museum anymore. Nobody. We don't hear anything. But that was a big challenge for us. So those are the things that we have to address as a council. And we try to make the best decisions for you and for the whole community. Those people who wish to move here, take the jobs as we build Prosperity Park and the industry that's coming there. The people, that's going to be young families, people that need places to live. We don't have them. We don't have apartments. We talk about the duplexes that are coming, but none are here yet. It's going to take time to build those, as with anything else. So bear with us. Give us a chance. And you'll see your community prosper. And that'll bring, with industry, with housing, we'll bring clothing stores. Bring something because people will need that. Bring another pizza shop, it's all right. Anyway, thank you for hearing me out.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Lemko. Councilor Barry, you have something you'd like to add?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I'm sort of the newcomer to town. I've only been here for 15 years. But in the area that I was in Edmonton for 30-some years, I was very involved in all the community leagues, community president, and seeing that area grow from next to nothing to a very prosperous area of Edmonton. I grew up in a small town much like this one. My family were very involved in all of the clubs and all of the activities, so they raised us as kids to be community-minded, community-involved. When I come out here after retiring, because my wife's family's from out this way, I decided I'd take a run at council. I was lucky enough to get on. I think I was lucky. I looked at the problem at this town at that time as being stagnant. It was going nowheres. And through this council, and I have to say to Mayor McPhee in particular, with his business experience and et cetera, Councillor Rudick, at the time when I came on in 2013, there was a view that we needed to grow the town, that we needed to get it more prosperous, and we needed to get more youth. Now, I just turned 80 today, but I have a 20-year-old daughter. And she played soccer in this town all the way through, and she's still refereeing. My wife is very involved in soccer. So we're a family that's been involved in this community for 15 years and very much with youth. I could flip it the other way around. And I could say, maybe this council made a mistake in trying to get federal money back when the case processing center closed. Maybe we should have said heck with it. Just sat on our hands and not got Prosperity Park built. Maybe we should have said, Why do we want to try and get industry here? Why should we try and get more business here? And why should we encourage families to come here? I mean, if we didn't have more businesses coming, if we didn't have families coming, we wouldn't need the housing. So then we could have green space everywhere. But we wouldn't have youth. So, well, let's close the school. That's easy enough. That school can make green space too. And maybe we could really just raise the taxes up on everybody because we're not encouraging more business, more residents. Raise the taxes on everybody and drive the youth out of town. Why would they want to stay in town? Maybe all the grandchildren that are around here right now would want to go to someplace else. So that would lower our population. Maybe we should try and drive our population down below 5,000. Then we wouldn't have to pay for the RCMP. So there's a direction we could have gone this way that would have watched this town slowly die away. I think fellow councillors here have worked really hard on the 12 years that I've sat in this chair to try and make this town grow, be prosperous, and be something. And I think that we're getting it on the map. And I want to keep going that direction as long as we can. And I think that's important because what it does is it reduces everybody's taxes. More houses, more taxes paid, more businesses, more taxes paid, but each person's taxes become a little bit less for the same value of services. So I sit here sometimes and I understand why people, because I used to react that way too. When you don't have the whole story, it's easy to take a different story, the story you want to believe in. And I think that maybe one of our failures is we just don't be able to seem to get the information out there in a fashion that the public actually takes a look at. So I gotta say, this is 2 public hearings in a row that we've actually attracted citizens to come and sit in those chairs and keep us accountable. And we're accountable to you, but we want to try and make the town better, not a town that fades away. So that's my position on it from a newcomer. I've only been here 15 years.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Berry. So we've all spoken. I will try to answer some of the questions we had in the public hearing. Why that location? Why do you guys like that location? It's a nice location. It's very desirable. If you were looking to build close to banks, close to playgrounds, close to downtown shopping, very good. It's a very desirable location. It certainly is. So we were approached by a local business that cannot keep their employees and they can't attract employees. They're willing to go spend millions of dollars to build some facilities so they can attract employees and keep growing and retain the employees they have. That's simply what this is. Did they look at any other property? Of course they did. And guess what? It all comes at a price. And if you want to go and develop property that has no services, you're looking at close to $80,000 a single lot today in this town to develop. So this is the reason they approached us. Our thought here is we have 0 rentals in town right now. I don't know if you guys know the new doctors that came to town, where they're living. Does anybody know where they're living? In a 1972 built apartment building. They're not very happy. The nurses that we're losing, because first of all, there's no daycare and there's no place for them to live. You've heard what the school boards have said. The school board has announced they're closing A.L. Horton, and they will be combining both schools at the comp because our population of young 0 to 3 just won't keep up. We've asked the Catholic board to give us 2 years before they do their scoping report, before they go ahead and announce. We have opportunity. Every business in this town is like this business that wants to build there. They can't retain employees. They can't bring employees to town. There's not one place for them to live. We can sell property in this area and help promote and help a business in town. We can sell it at fair market value. That's what we're allowed to do. When you go to try to buy another piece of property from somebody that wants nothing but profit, and then you got to put another $300,000 into services just to get the property available to build on, it's probably not going to happen right now. And I'm not gonna lie to you or pretend that there is going to be tax dollars involved. There will be when this development is done. We're taking a piece of empty land that you can't walk through. There's no pass on it. Nothing can happen on it. It's just sitting there, and it's going to start producing tax revenue and help contribute to keep the taxes in this town. Because every year, through inflation, everything goes up. Everybody wants the same level of service. Everybody would like their rear lanes redone. Everybody would like all brand new systems in front of their house, new sidewalks. But we can't do it at the taxation rate we are today. So everything that we do, we're looking forward. As far as the concerns with the Legion, and Mrs. Carter brought it up, and when they asked to develop that, when that land was originally donated to them, where they're at now, there was, at the time, we knew, and they knew full well, that it was zoned that way for the play school group to come in there. Did we say anything about the 2.5 feet, 3 feet, or whatever they slid over? No, nobody said anything. But we've made arrangements with the Legion. Now, when it comes to the Sunshine Club, we do have a little bit to work with because there's an easement between the Sunshine property line and the other property line. There is an easement, and we will work as hard as we can to save as much room as we possibly can there. To move forward, and I know this is a cumbersome type process that we go through. We have a developer, local, wants to go ahead, willing to write the check and willing to get this project started, but we can't sell it to them because of the zoning. And without the rezoning, and without, even if they had a bunch of concept drawings around the room right now, doesn't mean that we would be able to hold them to that. And we found this out in the past, that we, through infrastructure and development, hold the key to what their development looks like. If they can't provide the parking for that development, then we say no, it can't go ahead. Change your development. So when you want to address the parking, there's no doubt the street will get busier. There's no doubt about it. But there's also going to be people that are going to be able to live in there, that are going to be able to walk to all the amenities and raise their families there. So is it going to be subsidized housing, you asked, Dave? I doubt it very much, because they're not asking for the grant money that in the process that you have to go through to get on the list for subsidized housing. It is a lot of work. So I don't see that happening. I could see some being sold, some rented to their employees. I'm not sure. But it's a need that we have in our community right now. And if we don't take the chances and with these type of developments and to move forward, we're not gonna, the next stage is not gonna happen. So I know it seems like a personal attack on each one of you because you're invested in that community, or Mrs. Carter says with the Legion, it's not disrespectful for the Legion. We work with the Legion every month. Everything that they do, we assist them on everything they do. We have a letter coming up in this meeting here about assisting them. They understand what's going to happen, and we've made arrangements that we're going to work through it with them. And we're willing and ready to work with the Sunshine Club once we see what the final development looks like and how we can set it on that property to take as less parking away from the Sunshine Club as we can. That's what we can promise you, that we're willing to work with everybody to try to make this go ahead. So, everybody's had a chance to explain. I will now, we have a motion for the second reading. All those in favor? Thank you. And now we'll go ahead with a motion. I need a motion for the third and final reading. Counselor Lemko makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Sorry, folks, but we just passed that bylaw. And we will reach out to the business and let them know tomorrow. And we will try to keep you updated as much as we can about what their final proposal looks like. And we will stay in contact with the Legion, and we will start working with the Sunshine Club about where the line, as far as with this easement that goes through there, what we can help the Sunshine Club save for some parking as well. That's what we can promise you. Okay. Next up, we have correspondence from the Legion.
Thank you, Your Worship. Excuse me. It's addressed Mayor and Council. On June 10th, 2025, the Vegreville Royal Canadian Legion will be hosting the annual Ceremonial Review, ACR, for the Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron. As the event is held outside, we are requesting a partial road closure on 5037 52nd Avenue. This closure will not impede on the Vegreville Liquor Store or the Vegreville Plumbing and Heating. The closure is requested for the hours of 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. We realize that this is after hours for your staff, and the cadets are willing to put up the barricades and remove them if the barricades could be provided. Staff could pick them up the following day. The Vegreville Royal Canadian Legion Branch Number 39 appreciates your support for our young cadets and hope this request will be considered. Yours in camaraderie, Terry Kuzik, President.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion to receive and file. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Any comments? Director Lefebvre, we've done this in the past.
Yes, we've assisted the Legion in the past with traffic control or barricades.
Okay. This is a very big deal. It's the command transfer. This one that hasn't happened for a long time, so there'll be lots of people there. Okay, so all those in favor? Carried, thank you. Who's got this one? Director Saskew?
Thank you, Your Worship. This is addressed to His Worship Tim McPhee. Dear Mayor McPhee, I am pleased to provide the correspondence for your record confirming the 2025 local government fiscal framework allocations for your community. For the town of Vegreville, the 2025 LGFF capital allocation is $1,070,954. The 2025 LGFF operating allocation is $101,106. LGFF Capital is a legislative program aimed at providing local governments with substantial notice for their future infrastructure funding. As indicated on the program website, in 2026, your community will be eligible for $1,033,407. The information on the 2027 LGFF capital allocations will be shared with local governments this fall after growth in provincial revenues between 2023 and 2024 and 2024 and 2025 has been confirmed and used to calculate the program funding. Information on LGFF funding for all local governments is available on the LGFF website. We look forward to our continued partnership through your LGFF program to build strong and prosperous communities across our province. Sincerely, Rick McIver, Minister. So I think this is his last letter to
That's
us.
last letter, yeah. I need a motion to receive and file. Councillor Bullock, any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Warba.
Well, I guess I do appreciate us getting as much information ahead of time for planning. It is still somewhat concerning that while we'll have multi-year sustainable, but yet not really funding that's announced that's capturing the increase that we're seeing in the costs. And particularly, I'm wondering, so I'm just asking this as a question directed to Director Saskew. When we look at our capital allocations, are they allowing us to include some of the planning or scoping that sometimes seems a bit operational within it if it falls to the project itself? Or are they still sort of separating that? And what I'm looking at is the operational being as low as it is doesn't really allow sometimes for very preliminary plans that we do.
And that is really case by case specific. So with each project you submit. And so if you do scoping 2-3 years in advance of actually putting that project in the budget, then no, that doesn't fall under the capital allocation, and you'd either have to use operating or, so it really depends. Versus something like our forced main, we knew that we were gonna go ahead and do that, so we budgeted for the tendering and the scoping and the actual project in the 1 year. So then at that point in time, we could include that with our grant funding. So it's not easy for us to say yes and no on that. So if we wanted to look at like 3 different scoping projects and go ahead with one, chances are the 2 others that we just scoped but didn't actually go ahead with, those would have to come out of operations.
Thank you, Director Saskew. That just then does kind of tie into, it will be eaten up fast, I guess, in just, in short terms when you look at that amount. And if you look back at when the program was, say, first developed, which would have been under former Premier Stelmach's time, really considering the other increases, the amounts really haven't increased to that same percentage as what we're seeing for the cost of the programming. So, thank you.
If you look at 2 years ago, what we received against what we received 5 years ago, we were less 30%.
Yep.
Okay, Councillor Riddick?
Yeah, thank you very much. I was just going to make that point, is that I want to, while I appreciate that the province is following up on what they've required us to do, which is make 3- and 5-year budgets and share that information. And while they did tie the amount that they grant to us to the revenue of the province, it is greatly decreased, and it's downloading onto municipalities drastically. So in real dollars, I think it's now 40% decrease in what we used to receive based on inflationary costs. And there can be no doubt with the growth that we were talking about, even just doing simple road construction, which is not simple, this wouldn't even cover one project. So I guess my question would be twofold. I want to make sure that we're all continuing to advocate to make sure that the starting pocket of funding for capital and operating allocation for a local government fiscal framework is increased to the province, knowing that revenue is going to be decreasing again. We're on the midst of, or on the brink of potential downturn with the tariffs and the impact of the U.S. making some interesting decisions that will impact our purchasing and our work that we do. So I want to make sure that we continue to advocate and use our provincial advocacy bodies to do that and make sure that they're aware of that. And the second part is I wanted to make sure that we actually send a thank you letter to Minister McIver for being our very capable minister over the number of years, and Minister Williams as a new minister, welcoming him to the role. He'll have a lot to learn to be able to understand the complexity of municipalities, and this particular funding pocket is incredibly important to us, and it's simply not enough. So those would be my 2 points.
Well, I'll just inform you that we're way ahead of that. Leslie has already asked me to sign 2 letters that she already did. Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. Director Saskew, that new number for 2026, that's a combination of the capital and operating, so we're down 140.
No, that's just the capital allocation.
It's just the capital?
I'm hoping so.
I just didn't see a second number, so that's why I'm questioning if that's it. We're down 40,000 or we're down 140,000.
And that's unfortunate. Like, for example, MSI is the legendary, the legacy LGFF, and in 2021 alone, we received over 1.5 million just for our capital allocation. So our amounts have really dwindled, and I believe there was a reduction from 2020 and 2020, and not, oh my goodness, I can't go backwards, from 2020 to 2021. So they've been slowly dwindling, and now they've increased slightly, and calling it good news, unfortunately.
Well, I think that we better be prepared, because the LGFF, this new local government funding, is based on the prosperity of the province. So our number went up this year based on how prosperity 3 years ago. The province did very well, so our numbers went up. We're predicting a $5 billion deficit in the province this year. So 3 years from now, our numbers will be way down, and we better be careful, because that's how this is. It's not sustainable, that's for sure, the way we used to look at the funding model. But that's where we're at today. So I would hope that directors ask you that you have plans in place, that you have other ways you can raise some capital money?
Yes, hopefully. Stay tuned for budget 2026.
At least 2 years ago, it was not a bad year for the province. So the funding should be sustainable, but after that, we'll be looking at decreasing amounts through this LGFF. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
And just that on the tail of that is just so everyone realizes that LGFF, City of Edmonton and Calgary get 50% right off the top before it goes to any other municipality. The rest of us have to divvy it up and fight for it.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, next up, we have a letter from Elaine Kuchar with the VTSS program.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. It's addressed to Mayor McPhee and Town Council. On behalf of Vegreville Transportation Services Society, VTSS, I would like to thank you for your decision to once again provide funding to our organization. The generous grant in the amount of $22,000 is greatly appreciated. This funding will help to solidify the fiscal footing of VTSS as we navigate through 2025 and into 2026 and support consistent service levels in the future. There is no way that this letter can adequately convey how much VTSS appreciates your generosity. Our clients are greatly enriched by this service. With thanks, Elaine Kuchar, Program Coordinator.
Okay, need a motion to receive and file the letter. Thank you, Councillor Rudick. Again, another very good program that they run over there. They just got themselves a brand new van this year. And are they losing their driver? Is she retiring? Go ahead. Yeah, you're on that board.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so this is a recurring grant that the town provides to Vegreville Transportation Services Society, but as things change over time, some things have also changed in terms of the operation, and the community also has a number of different businesses that are providing transportation services. So we're currently redeckling and dedeckling, if those are even words. So the former vehicle that was funded by generous donations from the community has been sold through a closed bid process, or like closed envelopes, and there was several folks that were provided an expression of interest to purchase that previous vehicle, so that was done through an open tender process, and the new owner is very happy to be able to have the transportation for themselves. But our new van, you will have seen out and about with new decals on it, including the town of Vegreville as a generous contributor, is also helping try to figure out what next for the operation of the service, because the community's changed and access to transportation has changed over the years too. So for any folks that are in the room that are interested in volunteering, we also have an ad hoc transportation committee that includes VTSS as one of its members. To answer your question, Your Worship, the longstanding driver is considering retirement, and there is a new driver that is going to be operating VTSS, and because of that change, there are also some differences that we're taking a look at to make sure that we continue to evolve. There are some very successful programs that I became aware of that are, for example, down south in the Tabor area, that transportation service that operates very similar and was set up about the same time as VTSS now operates multiple vehicles and has a number of paid drivers. So it's a bit of a different iteration than what we have here. But it looks like we're sort of graduating. We don't want to change everything quickly, and the longtime volunteer driver has been a very valuable part of VTSS over the years. So we're trying to navigate as she decides to retire a little bit and have a new driver as well, and working that out. So for the next little while, it'll be part-time, and figure that out, and encourage anybody that's interested. This is another volunteer board that could use volunteers as well.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Rowe.
So just one little thing that came up, and it just sort of came to mind again because of them writing this thank you letter. I had been on the VTSS board prior, and some people do watch our budget meetings, believe it or not. And I actually had received a question to me, because I was on the board at the time, just asking about why, say, this particular group received funds when there are multiple groups that have some hand in the transportation. So I just kind of wanted to reiterate what we had said at the time to them as well. Of course, we know it could be changing, but that this group in the past, in the way they operated, they did have very specific criteria, and that's part of the reason why they received a grant. So they, of course, were dealing with low income, with seniors or people with disabilities versus an open transportation group. So I just remember receiving that particular call at the time, so kind of wanted to bring that in again, and also to point out that even during that time when they were involved with the voucher program, when they were unable to provide the transportation, they also coordinated with other local transportation groups, including ones like Ryan's Taxi and whatnot, and would actually contract them during the time. So, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. I think we have one more, right?
All right, thank you. This letter is from the Vegreville and District Chamber of Commerce, and it reads, Dear Mayor McPhee, on behalf of the organizing committee, it is with great pleasure that I extend an invitation to you to join us as a distinguished speaker at the opening ceremonies of the 50th anniversary of the Vegreville Pesinka. As you may know, the Vegreville Pesinka is an iconic symbol of our community and an important cultural landmark. This year, we are celebrating half a century of the Pesinka's presence in our town, and we would be honored if you would participate in this milestone event. The opening ceremonies will take place on Saturday, July 26, 2025 at 11 a.m. at the Vegreville Pesinka Park. As one of our esteemed elected representatives, your presence and words of encouragement would mean a great deal to the community and to the many individuals and organizations who have supported and visited the Pesinka over the years. Your participation in this special event will help highlight the importance of cultural heritage, community spirit, and local pride, while marking the historical significance of the Pesinka as both an artistic and cultural treasure. Please let us know if you are available to join us and if there is any additional information that you may need. We sincerely hope you can be part of this celebration of our shared history and future. Thank you for considering our invitation. We look forward to the possibility of welcoming you to this momentous occasion. Warm regards, Connie Steinwan, General Manager, Vegreville and District Chamber of Commerce.
Warm regards. Yeah. I need a motion to receive and file. Councillor Berry. Yes, I will be attending. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you both for the reading. Up next, we have Director Lefebvre.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is for subdivision application 25-162-004, Block 72, Plan L, XXX. The proposal is to review subdivision application 25-162-004 and approve the process to proceed. The background: on May 15th, 2025, Planning and Development received an application for subdivision approval to subdivide lot and Block 72, Plan L, XXX into two parcels. The total lot size is approximately 1.4 acres, and the applicant wants to subdivide half an acre off vacant land for future additional units, approximately 12. There is an attachment as well. Communication strategy is level 2, which is to inform. Once approved to proceed with the process, the subdivision authority officer will, as per the Municipal Government Act, send notification of the subdivision application to the government departments, persons, and local authorities as required by the subdivision and development regulation, the adjacent landowners, and post on the town's website and social media. Options are that recommendation is being made that town council approve the process to proceed.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Jameson, can you put up the attachment? You can't make it happen? Okay. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Well, for everyone listening in, I know in the crowd here you can't see the attachment, but the attachment, if you go down the golf course road, heading north out of town, you see where the duplexes are on the west side of road as you end in town. This would be pretty much just behind it, west into. Just west into there. That's where that location they're talking about right now, proposing. Okay.
It's behind the Vegreville Manor. Those apartments that were built there, they own the land already. They want to just subdivide out for another smaller, what they've done in the past. Any other comments?
You're welcome. Sometimes with technology, we have to jerk back to a piece of paper and an X.
Go ahead, Councillor Rudick.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the difference between,
Ooh, look at that.
oh, fancy. There we go. Can I talk while you're doing it? Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't interfering. Just to make sure that everybody is aware, the difference between the public hearing that was held before this meeting and this subdivision, those are two different processes. It might seem like it's the same thing because we're talking about developing property for housing, but this is a different process. The owner already has this piece of property and they can't develop the way they want to unless we allow them to subdivide, and that goes through, again, this is all determined by the province, so we have to follow their process for this subdivision, which is different than the public hearing that we had previously.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. So at this point, we're almost done our meeting. The next part is where we get to tell everybody what we did for the last 2 weeks. If anybody would like to leave right now, feel free. Oh, sorry. I have one more. Sorry, but you can still leave. Sorry about that, Jameson. I feel terrible, bud. Go ahead.
All is forgiven, Your Worship, but I'm telling you, Mr. Saprovich is going to regret missing this one. Today, the topic in terms of the request for council decision is in regards to financial and in-kind support of the Pesica's 50th anniversary celebration. The proposal is to provide both a financial contribution and an in-kind support to the Vegreville and District Chamber of Commerce for its 50th anniversary celebration, scheduled for, as we discussed earlier, Saturday, July 26, 2025. The background on this matter is that at the May 20th, 2025 Legislative Committee meeting, Council reviewed a letter from the Vegreville and District Chamber of Commerce requesting both financial and in-kind support for the Pesica's 50th anniversary celebration. The letter specifically requested use of Pesica Park on July 26, 2025, assistance from 2 Town of Vegreville staff members to support the organizing committee, designation of campsites 51 through to 60 for use as handicap parking for the day, closure of Pesica Avenue to all vehicles except transportation buses and vehicles with handicap permits, including the provision and placement of barricades and appropriate road closure signage, and finally, special exemption to the Town of Vegreville's local sports and event hosting grant, as the event does not meet the minimum 2-day eligibility requirement. The financial implications, should council agree to grant the Chamber's request, would include the wages for the 2 Town of Vegreville staff members, as well as any monetary support provided in addition to the in-kind contributions. Communication strategy: the Community Engagement and Economic Development Department will liaise directly with the Chamber's manager to inform her of council's decision. In addition, if council approves the closure of Pesica Avenue to non-permitted vehicles, notice of the road closure will be shared via the Town of Vegreville's website and social media channels. The recommendation this evening is that the council approve the Chamber's above referenced in-kind support requests, as well as provide a financial contribution in the amount deemed appropriate by council, in addition to the in-kind support. And Your Worship, just for a point of clarification, what we will need today, as this is a non-budgeted expenditure, is essentially a hard amount as deemed appropriate by council in terms of any financial contribution that would go above and beyond the in-kind contribution requested.
Okay, so I'll take a motion for the recommendation. Also, we'll have a separate motion for the financial contribution. So first, I'll need a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Any comments on that? We all agree. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Pesic is so important to this community, and I had 7 summers of personal experience out there of seeing how many people actually come to this town and that never been to this town that stopped because of the Pesica. It's really important to this town to continue tourism, and I think any way that we could support the chamber for bringing that to our town and bringing all the people to this town for the past 50 years is probably not even enough. We could do even more. That's how I feel.
You want to give them 3 employees? They only asked for 2. Okay, any other comments on the recommendation and with the request of the basics? We're not talking the financial one right now, just the basic asked and what we were going to do. Is there any other comments? Go ahead, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you. Manager Brown, we weren't going to do the exemption, right?
No, it was discussed at the legislative committee meeting that it would perhaps be best, given the magnitude of the event, but given that it does not actually meet the 2-day requirement, that we don't set precedent and potentially just consider this as a one-off for the financial contribution.
I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so the first motion is on the recommendation. All those in favor? Carried. I would support another motion and a number. Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. As we spoke on this before, and I agree totally, is that how important the Pysanka is to this community. I would recommend that the town become a platinum sponsor for $2,000.
I thought it said 2,000 and above. Oh, we're going more than above with all the in-kind.
Right, would be above with the in-kind. So the financial part of this question, I'm recommending the 2,000 in addition to the in-kind support.
Go ahead, Councillor Rudy.
Can I ask a question either to I gave you a new title. Manager Brown or perhaps Councillor Warwa as a councillor on this committee, do we have an idea of what type of budget they're working with? Because that would be helpful to be able to understand, because as several of you have noted, the Pysanka has become an incredibly important part of identifying Vegreville to others outside of our community, and the tens of thousands of people that come every year without us very deliberately marketing happens, and with the increase in marketing and attention has really ramped up over the years. Like, you know, if you could please tell us how many people have come in the last little while, and also if you have an idea what the budget is, just so I have a better idea, because as much as I would support 2,000, I feel like if they were doing more things and they needed more money, I would be comfortable supporting a bit more.
Well, we'd have to vote on it.
Well, I'm sure Councillor Warwa can lend more to this conversation as well, as we both, sit. I don't want to use the term at the table, but beside the table in trying to facilitate any assistance on a regular basis with the chamber, and not excluding this event. Just for point of clarity in terms of the background, you were asking about, on average, how many visitors are we seeing to the egg? Okay, so last year, I believe it was 77,000, and I'm pulling that off the top of my head, but it was somewhere in that neck of the woods in terms of visitors tracked at Pysanka Park. The year before that, down slightly at about 75. So at the end of the day, it's a lot in terms of what our staff track at Pysanka Park, and that is just through a regular summer. We're anticipating, given that it's the official 50th anniversary of the Pysanka, we could see increased traffic. Truth be told, our visitor information center opened earlier this month. We're already seeing higher numbers than we did at this time last year. In terms of an actual budget, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable getting into the specifics, but what I would say is that it's limited, as you can probably understand. The chamber is operating as a not-for-profit in this regard. They are and have been successful in wrangling local community support from the businesses in terms of sponsorship. The support has certainly been there, but again, it is a relatively limited budget for an event with this type of magnitude behind it, given we're celebrating 50 years.
That was a long-winded answer not to get an answer.
I've learned from the best, Your Worship.
I just want one to that.
Okay, you're,
I'm not gonna give you a number, so it's not gonna make you happy, but.
so you're gonna beat around the bush as well.
Just a
Go
little
ahead,
tiny
everybody
bit.
just beat around the bush a bit, it'll be good.
So just because I was around the table originally, it was really difficult because they were looking at, could you qualify for a type of grant that would give you a guaranteed number and then you could build from there? And unfortunately, they couldn't. So they couldn't jump into that kind of realm. So they ended up having to do it based upon changing and saying, let's get all the community partners together and see who's willing to take on something. So in most cases, different events were taken on by different community groups. But the point I wanted to make about this was, while it is a limited budget and there has been a lot of community help, it would not be in a scenario at any point where a donation towards them would become basically a money-making situation. And if anything, should there be any opportunity for some funds to be made, they have been diligently looking at ways to put to a way to actually refurbish the Pesinka. So I just wanted to let that note. I know we're not talking about large amounts of money, but even if there was a profit, that is some of what they're looking back at right now. And would have loved actually, had there been a little bit better grants available out there, to have been able to guarantee to cover all of this and then use this event as an actual money making. But that just wasn't the scenario. The only other thing I just did want to throw in there is having watched this group, they have really shifted the focus a little bit. And while it's certainly welcoming to anyone who wants to come in, they really changed the focus to try and make it for the local people about the Pesinka. That is why they shifted away from a multi-day event to a one-day event. They looked at having both some brought in and some local entertainers, making it something that the people of the community would bring their families to. So in my report, I do have a little bit more updates about what's going on within it, but I just wanted to make that clarification that certainly I would expect that they will not be making money, but should there be, that would be an outlet for that to head towards.
Okay, thank you very much. Director Sasky, do you have your laptop open?
I do, Your Worship.
Where are we at with our legislative budget?
Oh, well, I have my laptop open. Let's just see if
trouble?
Questica is still available. I got her. Hold on. Are you guys looking for what you have available in your advertising? Would that probably be?
Well, we have a budget and hopefully we're not over it. I mean, this is not a budgeted item and we didn't raise any
There's lots of room.
taxes to support it.
There's lots of room. So there's, well, not,
So,
$2,000 would be like a quarter of your budget, but
so we're coming to the end of the year.
6 months.
No, the election's the end of the year with that budget. Once they hit the election, they got new councilors, new mayor, they can have whatever they want.
So you're gonna leave them, so yeah, you have a $7,500 budget and you've spent $1,800.
Okay, so we can say that this $2,000, which isn't budgeted, can come out of our legislative budget? You guys would be fine with that? Okay, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, again, now we're going to the personal lives, no, our professional lives, what we do for the last 2 weeks. If you want to stay, it is fun to watch.
You're selling it pretty good.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna start with the most exciting counselor, Counselor Barry, since it's his birthday.
Thank you, Your Worship. So on May the 13th, our Vegreville Attraction and Retention Committee was very pleased to have His Worship and other council members come to our committee meeting at the start of it and sign the proclamation for Alberta Rural Health Week, which starts today. And I'm going to skip down to today and just add to that. So this morning, several members of our committee all came together and we divvied up envelopes and we went to every healthcare facility in the town. So that's all the pharmacies, the hospital, the clinic, dentists, eye specialists, EMS, and I'm missing a few, but we were there. And we gathered staff that could come out, and we gave them an envelope with a coupon in each for each member of the staff and our appreciation for the work that they do in healthcare in our town to get a little cookie gift. And then we took a picture, and those are being posted right now. So I think myself and Brian March went to 6 or 7 different places, and I think that there's another that Tara Cuzio and her partner went to about another 8. All told, we have over 700 people who are employed in the healthcare business in this town. So now that's not just all just doctors and nurses and et cetera. We look at it at the hospital. The kitchen staff not only feed everybody at the hospital, but they also do around 400, 450 meals on wheels every month. The laundry services at all of these different facilities, if they weren't there. So the support staff is very important for all of these areas to function. So that's what we were doing today, and it's very pleasing to go to all of these places and give them a personal thank you for the work that they do. On May 13th, we then went into our board meeting where we officially passed our new terms of reference. We'll be making more public knowledge of that, and we took from having this long alphabet name and narrowed it down to this V-A-R-C, VARC. So that's the Vegreville Attraction Retention Committee. And we look at it as trying to attract and retain healthcare workers at every stage. We will emphasize recruiting doctors because we are down about 2 doctors short, and that is where how our community is viewed by them is how they decide if they're going to come here and set up a practice. So the more we can impress them with our community, the more likelihood we can attract them. On May 14th, I was at the Ag Society board meeting. They're moving forward with a very, very busy summer. And it should kick off, I believe it's this weekend is Dash to the Spring, the first of the races and events. On May the 15th, I was able to come here with a number of others, and others will speak on it even more than me. A.L. Horton students came for a tour, and there were some very good questions from the audience that were all grade 6ers. And I was very impressed by some of the questions. On the 20th, ledge meeting. After that, we had our council and CAO quarterly meeting, which I can't discuss because it's a private one. But we each, 4 times a year, we sit down with our CAO and we have a very good exchange as to where we're at and where we're going. On the 22nd, I taped the Talk of the Town. Tara Cuzio joined me. She's the chair of the VARC committee. I'm the second chair, vice chair. Thank you. I needed the word, vice chair. And we went to the radio station and we did a little spiel on Alberta Healthcare Week, the Rural Healthcare Week, and what our committee is. And that would have aired this morning. And then tonight's public hearing and our regular council. And I'll turn it over to another councillor. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Lemko.
Thanks, Your Worship. On May 14th, I attended the town's what would they call it, collaboration meeting. It's a meeting that we meet with our fellow council from County Minburn. And this one was just a town to prepare ourselves for our more of our upcoming meetings with, and we talk about the recreation grant, the land use, landfill, and items like that with our partners next door. So this was the town's meeting to discuss strategies and that kind of stuff. May 20th, attended the legislative meeting. 20th, I also attended the council CAO meeting, quarterly meeting. The 23rd, I attended the MD of Minburn Foundation meeting. For those people who are here and those listening, the MD of Minburn Foundation is comprised of 6 counselors,
Folks,
two from the town of Vegreville, 2 from the MD of Minburn, 1 from Manville, and 1 from Innisfree. We sit on the board and we make the decisions regarding the Homestead Lodge and housing units in Innisfree and Manville, which are managed by the Minburn Foundation. I also sit on the chair of that board, but I also sit on the building committee for the expansion of the Homestead Lodge. We put 2 years ago, we put a proposal, or we've been working on a proposal to the government for expansion of the Homestead Lodge. 63 units. Our proposal went in January, and we're now waiting for the government to see if we'll be getting any funding. To date, the building committee has been working with our architect and our project manager. We are 17% complete on this project. So all the legwork is done up front, but that's 17% complete to having the keys to the new facility. 60% complete on the planning of this project as we prepare for moving forward. And our architects are 75% complete on the design for the development of this project. So we continue to move forward even though we don't have the funding as of yet. We're hoping and optimistic we will receive part of the allocation from the government for senior housing in this community. So we work hard to ensure that our seniors have places to live in our community as they go into the next level of care. And we also had a discussion at our Minburn Foundation meeting about things happening at the lodge and and we went into closed session, which I can't discuss regarding something from the lodge. Tonight's public hearing and tonight's council meeting. And thanks for coming and sitting through the meeting and listening to us gibber about things. That's it, Your Worship. I'm done.
thank you.
I think I spoke too much.
All those in favor? Councilor Orwa.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had quite a few similar meetings, including the May 16th with the A.L. Horton, and it's a good thing. I would just echo some great questions, and I think, Your Worship, you might be in trouble if those kids weren't 18. There's a particular little girl and one young gentleman that I think might be throwing their name in the hat there, so something to watch for. Following that, I had a subdivision authority meeting that afternoon. I just wanted to thank Director Lefebvre's department. I know they have been extremely busy, and I appreciate that the packages are very well put together. And I would just say to the community at large, members who sit on there as well, they have certainly also been busy, because previous to that, a comment was made the last time that they hadn't met for a while. It was almost a couple of years, I believe 2 years they're saying in between, and now they've met, it seems like back to back every couple of weeks we're in one of these meetings. So that's a good sign of growth. But also thank you to those community at large members every time they take part. We had the legislative meeting on the 20th, as well as the CAO meeting. Now, on the 21st, unfortunately, I had both the library board meeting and the 50th anniversary. So I did go to the library board meeting, but got them to send me just an update from the 50th. So just a couple of things I wanted to mention about the library board. As you know, they had made a presentation a while back about logos and rebranding. They weren't quite happy with the way that turned out or the way it was representing, and they kind of went back to the drawing board. And as of this last meeting, they have passed a new logo, so that will be seen once some of the color palettes go around, but I think it's very nice and it represents growth, and it's looking to be something that they would use on branding for stickers and just pieces that would be very easy to the eye to catch, to notice about the library. And I think they're going to look at some of our summer festivals as being good opportunities to get some of that out with maybe some pens, maybe some stickers. So stay tuned with that. They're also looking at their plan of service and ways to expand and offer somewhat maybe more programming, but also programming to different groups. They did a bunch of surveys across to kind of ask people what would make, not just what would you like to see staying, but if you're not a user of the library, what would make you a user of the library? And they're being very cognizant to try and not duplicate services offered by other groups. So there'll be some summer staff hours, but I think what we'll see in the long run of it will actually be some extended or different hours that actually will open things up to a new demographic. Just wanted to highlight that on the 14th of June, they're going to have a barbecue fundraiser at the co-op. They have listened to some of the direction about the funding and the difficulty that there is, within the limitations with municipalities, and they are stepping forward more with additional fundraising as well. So that will happen on the 14th, and so everybody come out, enjoy a hot dog. And I think it's also maybe important to note then, as a thank you to our having a local co-op, how important it is and how many groups that they allow to have fundraising barbecues just outside their doors, which, does cause them some extra traffic, some extra work. They will allow them to run back and forth. And the last time they ran out of food and we're actually purchasing more at the last minute. So, a thank you to having a local group that helps with that. Also, stay tuned to watch for some silent auction that will be going on through July. So that's just a little bit of a library update. Thank you to Director Lefebvre on the information you provided about the possibility of a crossing area. We had discussed that at the one meeting. You will see an email or letter coming forward just with a little bit of an ask there, and that was that corner that used to have a crossing place towards the school. So they appreciated that updated information. And then on the same night, I, of course, had the 50th anniversary. So we've given most of the updates on that. Just a couple of other things I just want to remind everyone again is there's going to be lots going on. There's going to be music throughout the day, dancers. The off-ramp boys will be attending. One of our local DJs, Dust to Dawn, will be there as well. Bouncy structure, face painting, glitter. There'll be a farmer's market. Cortec will be sponsoring the food for pancake breakfast. There's going to be souvenir booklets as well. And again, when I spoke about the groups coming together, RJV is sponsoring something that right now, anyone who's a sports fan would probably be near and dear to this. We may see a little stop out from Hunter, the Oilers mascot. So I think a lot of kids will be excited to see him in the park. And the only other thing I was going to note about that is I know sometimes when there is large events, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to navigate traffic, and they've done a lot of work to, first of all, ask to work with the town on designating some handicap parking, as well as working with one of our local bus companies to have busing so that people are being brought in and it doesn't cause additional congestion, especially with that being a hospital access road. So I had those, and then, of course, tonight's public hearing and council meeting, and that's everything.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rudick.
Thank you, Your Worship. I attended many of the same meetings as my colleagues. May 13th, took a photo with VARC. Really happy to see that that committee is still very active in making sure that all health professionals are recognized, particularly this week as we acknowledge Rural Health Professionals Week. Incredibly important part of our community to make sure that everybody has access to the care that they deserve, and continue to advocate on every front to make sure that that continues.
And you get to see your sister at the meeting?
I do. She does work for RPAP. Yeah, it's family reunion.
Well, you don't get to see her every day.
I don't. That's true. May 14th, Community Association for Lasting Success board meeting. This was board training. They've got a really active group of volunteers on that board, which is great to see. And CALS, again, is responsible for providing a variety of programs related to literacy for those 0 to 6. And Head Start is the largest program that they offer Family Literacy Program is the next largest. Breakfast Club is their third largest. And the smallest, but perhaps maybe most timely, is the Little Explorers Program. So that will be coming up for the summer as well. And again, as a volunteer board, really important to be able to have access to that training to make sure that everybody understands all their fiduciary responsibility and all the big parts of being a board member. May 15th, Ale Horton Student Tour. Really happy to be here and see some of the vibrant questions. Again, there was some pointed questions, and really happy to see that kids are so involved and well-informed. Our future looks bright if we've got those young kids coming up. May 20th, Legislative Committee meeting and CAO meeting. May 22nd was the Vegman Learning Society board meeting. Currently trying to make some decisions in terms of what is happening over the next little while. Vegman Learning is one of the committees that really could benefit from some more volunteers. They have a number of adult learning programs that they offer, and right now they are a designated location to be able to have your adult equivalency exam, which is the new version of your high school diploma. So they've got first aid courses that are completely full. They will be taking a break over summer for some of those courses, but other ones will be offered as well. May 22nd was VTSS, Vegreville Transportation Services Society. I referenced some of the changes that are going on there. They have finally found out the date for their next casino, and because our community has to attend casinos, our volunteer groups have to attend Camrose casinos. It is almost 4 years since the last casino that they've received, and they will get a pittance because, of course, it's pooling funds. So again, we've had some pretty lively discussions about the importance of casino funding for all of our volunteer groups in the community, and BTSS, while appreciative, is not going to have a ton of money in the end for a lot of effort. So again, that's another reality of operating a nonprofit in the community, but November will be the day that we will have that coming forward. May 23rd, MD Minburn Foundation. Thank you, Chair Lemko, for providing an update on the building project. It's hard to imagine that we're that far along, but again, some of the processes and some of the folks that we've hired on that project have been incredibly helpful, making sure that we're following all of the processes to make it successful. May 24th, I was very happy to attend VCHS grad. I understand there was a bit of confusion. I was attending the high school, Vegreville Composite High School grad on the 24th, not St. Mary's the night earlier, because one of the reasons that we moved back to Vegreville was graduating that night. So our youngest graduated, and I was very happy to bring greetings on behalf of council with Councillor Curtis and ask those kids to go out and explore the world, get educated, and come back here and bring all those talents and experiences and bless our community the way that they've been blessed by the community in turn. And as part of that day, being able to go to the Pissinka Park and see all the kids in their finery, taking pictures out there, some of the investments that we've made out there are really making a difference. So we don't always see the impact of the work that we do here, but making that extra investment in the park really paid dividends. That is a busy, busy place. Even on a Saturday afternoon with a bunch of grads flitting around, there were a ton of other people that were there having to wait their turn to take a picture in front of the egg. And tonight's public hearing and council meeting, and that's my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. For me, so May 13th, I attended the Rural Health Week proclamation as well. May 14th, the Intermunicipal Committee. I am the alternate on that group, so I don't get to go to too many things, but this was nice for me to see how we're going to move forward with our relationship and with our agreements with the county. So that was nice. May 15th, the Ale Horton Student Tour. There was some good questions. I liked the question about if we were going to put tariffs on the ice cream. They did not want to see tariffs on the ice cream, so I think we can make sure that that doesn't happen. They were also upset that Councillor Bullock no longer does the ice cream, so he got jeered a little bit there. We had a ledge meeting on the 20th, and then the CEO council meeting as well on the 20th. On the 24th, I too spoke with Councillor Rudick at the Composite High School graduation, as I had a son who was graduating as well, so it was nice to see them get across the finish line and kind of make it to the next part of the journey in their life. Tonight, May 26th, I had an FCSS meeting before this. I'll save some for Councillor Bullock. But I know some upcoming events they have are the National Volunteer Week Barbecue, June 18th. I don't think it's actually National Volunteer Week. They had to move it, but it's for National Volunteer Week. So it's at the library between 4:30 and 7. So bring your picnic blanket, join us for dinner, games, entertainment. There's going to be an outside component with the barbecue and the splash park. And then there'll be stuff inside at the gym. I think Pierogies and Jam is coming to play some music. And if you wear white and red, you will be entered into a prize draw. I don't know what the prize is. This is coming up tomorrow, so there's at the library as well at 5 p.m. There is a live Q&A with Vegreville peace officers. So one of our peace officers is taking some time going to the library and going to answer some questions from youth and adults alike. So that is happening tomorrow. One other thing I wanted to say is Councillor Barry had talked about Meals on Wheels being between 400 and 450, and you are spot on. For the last 4 months, over 400, under 450 every month. So still a lot. They have a lot of people, 11 driving teams. One of the churches in town helps out, a few businesses and a couple other agencies to make sure that all those meals get delivered. Two other things, the FRN is moving, so they have a spot now. So they were in with the preschool, and they're moving to what used to be Fire and Flower and the barber shop up in the Galleria Malls. So they're getting prepared, and actually Yulia is doing a very good job of keeping all the program going while they are simultaneously packing up and moving stuff. And a lot of help, I think, from the Kinsmen were there tonight, helped them move. They got some trailers, and there's a lot of other community groups that have helped them move. So hopefully they're up and running in there soon and can keep their programming going. And the last thing is on our FCSS committee, we are short a few members. So if anybody wants to join, there's I think 2 or 3 spots open. One is a youth spot, so usually a high school age student between 14 and 18 or so, and the rest are like members at large. So there's a couple opportunities there if somebody wants to come out once a month, usually right before our council meetings. So. And then our public hearing tonight and the council meeting. 3 meetings tonight. I got through them all. So, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Councillor Bullock.
Thank you, Your Worship. So back on the May the 14th as well, the intermunicipal committee meeting that we had, we discussed interesting topics, agreements that we have with the county that we're discussing and moving forward. On May 15th, I was a little bit late for the A.L. Horton student tour meeting, and I walked right into a solid question that left me speechless pretty much, but I provided an answer to the young lady after the meeting, so hopefully I left her with some hope, and you could still take me up on that deal, Jameson, for the 50th anniversary. Then on the 15th, also the Subdivision Authority Board Foxview meeting. That meeting, May 20th, our Legislative Committee meeting. May 20th, our council meeting and our CAO quarterly meeting as well. And tonight as well, with Councillor Curtis, the FCSS Advisory Board meeting. Touched on one thing is the crisis response plan we're talking about having, and just a little follow-up on that, just having trouble getting the partners together to discuss what's going on, who's responsible for what. For those that don't know, it would be a meeting between Combatant Health, Alberta Supports Recovery Alberta, Kalena Primary Care Network, and also the RCMP. So looking to possibly have a facilitator look into that to make sure we get some core hard answers, some questions that we have, and that'll probably take place this fall, more than likely after the election. So looking forward to that coming about, and tonight's public hearing and council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
That's a wrap.
So I too attended the May 13th Alberta Rural Health Week proclamation. Actually, I signed it. I was the guy. The next day we had our ICF meeting, and it was just to form a bit of a strategy about some agreements, and we're looking forward to the next one. The A.L. Horton Students Tour on the 15th was a lot of fun, and for those that haven't been involved in before. They are fun, and then like next year we look forward to a different class, a different school, so it's always good. That afternoon I had the Alberta Mid-Sized Town Caucus. It's a new caucus that we joined here, and we are getting some, building up some steam here, trying to talk the government of Alberta into what mid-sized towns are looking at for infrastructure, finances, the dollars that we need. And we're in a special, we're not mid-sized cities, we're not Edmonton and Calgary, but mid-sized towns are a lot of our infrastructure. And luckily, they're looking, we had Dale's department do a report up for me what our next 5-year capital plan looks like, and their funding model doesn't come anywhere near getting close to what our needs are there, so stay tuned on that. On the 20th, we had our LEDS meeting, CAO meeting, and then on the 22nd, CAO Ling and myself traveled to Amberlea Meadows in Edmonton for the 2025 ATCO Cup show jumping competition. I've attended them a few times, and it's always nice to hang out with ATCO people, and we are in ATCO town, so it was a very nice event. On Friday, I did St. Mary's School grad at the comp, and it was a lot of fun. My introduction was very rarely good from one of the MCs. Told everybody in the crowd that you can bribe the mayor with cake, and she reached onto the podium and brought a cake out. But I've known her for quite some time, and she makes banana cake all the time and brings it to me. But it was nice to see all those young people. It just seemed like 5 years ago that they were babies, and now they're all graduating. I don't know how that works, but. And then on Saturday, I went to Chipman. Pat Tomko is a friend of mine, and she has been the CAO of Chipman for 40 years. And she was the manager of the John S. Patuque Water Commission for 30 years, and it was her retirement party, although she didn't know that. It was set up as a fundraiser for the Stelmach group and the raising money for firefighters in Ukraine. And that shipment that we had been participating in before, and then the Ed Stelmach Foundation. But Pat didn't know. She organized it all, and basically she was surprised that all these politicians showed up to donate money to firefighting in Ukraine. But it was nice to see her and recognize her. She's a great lady, and the Reeve of Lamont County started reading off all the mayors and councilors. She served in 40 years in that role, and we don't see that anymore, the CAO holding a job that long. So it was really good. And then tonight's public hearing and council meeting. That's what I have. Is there any other business of council? Seeing none, I would like a motion to go into closed session. We have a discussion on some disclosure harmful to economic and other interests of a public body. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried.